There's one habit that outstanding leaders have learned to master. One habit that sets them aside from mediocre and marginal leaders. One habit that has catapulted them into the stratosphere, that has opened up opportunities beyond what the mind can comprehend. And that's knowing how to make good decisions. Welcome to the Clarence Stowers Leadership Podcast, a podcast about becoming 1% better every day. And now your host, yours truly, Clarence Stowers. Hey everyone, it's Clarence E. Stowers Jr., host of the Clarence Stowers Leadership Podcast, a podcast about becoming 1% better every day. This podcast focuses on inspiring and equipping highly motivated individuals and creatives to take decisive action and level up in all areas of life while producing their best work. This week's episode, The Overlooked Leader, Overlooked by Others, Handpicked by God. There are amazing leaders, phenomenal leaders, who are crushing it every single day, but don't have the visibility of celebrity leaders. The purpose of this episode is to highlight the overlooked leader and help them build their platform while gaining visibility. What does it mean to be overlooked by others, but yet be handpicked by God? I'm excited and happy today, as your host of the Clarence Stowers Leadership Podcast, to have with me a dear friend. I do call him my friend and a dear brother, Frank Walker IV. You're going to hear his story momentarily. As you can see, he's wearing the hat of who we believe the greatest baseball franchise known to mankind. All you haters out there, slow down. This ain't nothing but Cubs land, baby, and Rangers for the time being. But in the meantime, we thank God for this brother. And what makes this show even greater is the fact that we actually get to see the imprint as well as the results of It Takes a Village to raise a young man into manhood. And I've been knowing Frank for a long time, and Frank has gone on to do even greater things than I could imagine. And although we had our time and some of that time was rocky, but Frank stuck with me. And because of that, we're seeing the results of many people, not just me, many people who've poured into Frank's life. And you're going to hear about his incredible journey and what he's doing momentarily. So without any further ado, I want to welcome to today's show my friend, and I'm happy to call him that, my brother, Frank Walker IV. Frank, how are you today, man?
Pastor, I am great. I'm so excited to be on the podcast of my current and only forever pastor. So I'm glad to be here.
Awesome, man. I need to help you out, and you need to help me out and teach that mindset to others. But with that stated, I know you, Frank, and you've been a great asset in my personal life. And I want the world to know, and I want the world to see that although I'm in my 50s, you can still learn. You can still learn from those who are younger, those who add value because of Frank's podcast, and you're going to hear more about that momentarily. It inspired me to launch my podcast. So Frank, man, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I think most people that know me, that see me on social media, they know three things about me already. And that is, one, I've worked for the Cubs since I was 16. Everybody knows about the Cubs. 2, everybody knows I go to church, Mars Hill. And 3, most of my career I have worked with youth and youth development. Those are the 3 things that I talk about, 3 things that I post about, mainly because one of your sermons, I could actually, by the way, pinpoint one of your sermons to almost every aspect of what I do. But one of your sermons, you talked about how the things that you talk about or spend the most time or energy on, the things that matter the most to you. And almost everybody that knows me, whether they're a believer or not, they know Frank goes to church, he works with the Cubs, and he works for youth. And more recently, decided to, again, follow your lead. Just don't be average like everybody else. Be awesome. So I'm doing a podcast, which turned into a TV channel. I'm focused on those 3 things. And I always tell people all the time that are teachers, you don't get to see your students' results as they get older and they move on from school. But as a pastor, you sort of get to see.
Yeah.
On me all the time.
Absolutely. And that what makes me most happy is the fact that those who allowed me to pour into their lives have done even greater works. And that's what Scripture talks about. I need to get a little churchy. So for all of my business colleagues and those who are still have questions about faith, you might want to mute this, but because we're about to get churchy for just one moment. Christ says in Scripture that his disciples would do greater works. And that's the mark of a good teacher, I believe, a good leader, where those you pour into, those that you coach, mentor, come along and go even further than you. And I get a chance just to step back and smile and nod my head in agreement to see that. And with that stated, talk to us a little bit about how you came up with the concept or what inspired you to launch Mistaken Identity.
Yes. So during the pandemic, most of the staff with the Cubs, they were laid off and they could not work at all. And we were used to always gathering in person for conventions or for meetings, for socials. And when we could not meet in person, there was some depression with people. And, I saw on social media, people just did not know what to do because they were so used to meeting in person. So then I decided, well, since the Cubs convention was canceled, and that was the one time that we did get together in the off season, why not try to do it virtually? So I thought the concept, and almost 500 people registered for it. Certain people who had connections inside the Cubs, even the players got together. Kerry Wood and Mark Pryor and Ryan Dempster. I didn't ask for any of those people. Word of mouth. People were like, hey, we want to join in. And then the big surprise of all surprises is, even though he was traded, Kyle Schwarber decided to come on and join.
Wow.
Which shocked me. So I really just had this vision, and I sort of stuck to the vision. And that vision let people see that we don't actually have to gather in person all the time. We can actually gather whenever we choose to virtually. And that led to the podcast. Now we just do Zoom sessions with past players, former players. And the one thing we learned in the pandemic is that we didn't really know each other outside of work. We just knew each other by our ID numbers and our position. You're an usher, you're a security guard. But we learned on Zoom that, oh, wait, you're a teacher. You are a doctor. You are a lawyer. You have a story. So for this whole time, we mistook your identity for just what we thought you were. Even the players who knew. I did not know that Andre Dawson was a funeral director. I thought he was a baseball player. So we learned that you can mistake somebody's identity based on what you see and not really know them. And thus the concept of mistaken identity came up. And it was so popular that now, even those that are not a part of the Cubs, they listen to the podcast to hear about some of the great people that work there and what they do in their personal lives.
You shared some things, and I jotted them down that I didn't even know. For an example, I didn't know Andre Dawson was into funeral services. And this is a first for me. He's a legend.
Yes.
Here in Chicago, the Hawk, I mean, one of our favorite players, one of my favorite players growing up. And I had the opportunity to participate in some of the podcasts. You mentioned something that really stood out about you didn't know what people did outside of work. And that's what we call, even in church life, people are familiar strangers. We see them all the time, work with them, interact with them, but we don't really know them outside of their current work and role that they had with the Cubs. So doing that, you got a chance to meet people and to learn about people. Were there any surprises?
Every episode, it was a surprise. Again, because, we get to work, it's all about business and it's all about the fan and you ready for the game. We don't have time to really, dive deep. There was somebody, my coworker, who has 4 debilitating diseases that I never knew about until the podcast. And now when I see her, I understand why she, carries a water bottle full of ice and only ice and not water.
Wow.
Right? Whereas before, I'm like, why is this crazy person carrying only ice and no water?
Yeah.
So, I think almost every episode, one of my coworkers, I did not know this, went into labor during a Cubs game on the terrace. And I'm here, I never knew, because she's on the other side of the stadium, I'm on one side of the stadium, and we go out and hang out all the time. So there's a surprise in almost every episode, because people, and I've learned, by the way, that people are waiting to tell their story. There's a waiting list of about 80 people who want to be on to tell their story, and we just can't get to all of them. So not a surprise.
Oh, wow. That is wonderful. You got a roster of people. And I think you touched on something, especially during the pandemic when we were sheltering in place and a lot of uncertainty in the air. Just a platform where you brought people together, even online. And this kind of fits our concept of where we are at Mars Hill. Although we are online, we live in that slipstream of physical and digital. You had been with these people physically. Now you move the relationship online digitally, and now you can see people opening up, sharing their stories as well. And congratulations on the launch of the podcast and having a waiting list of people who want to tell their story. You recently, though, had the opportunity to expand the footprint of mistaken identity into television. Talk to us a little bit about that.
Yes, we haven't even been even a year old yet. We reached 10,000 downloads podcast in about 4 months.
Man, that's unheard of.
Yes, we were able to get some of the sponsors of teams like Fanatics and all those things, and then next thing you know, we started to get some messages about, hey, have you ever thought about a Roku channel? Of course, the answer was no. Never thought about a Roku channel. And to be honest, I was extremely busy. But something you said before, you might not even remember this, because this was maybe 4 years ago. But the best opportunities don't come in a bow tie waiting for you when you're ready. Sometimes when God moves, He moves at a time that is outside of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
You have to be able to adjust. So I just said, hey, if this is what the plan is, it's for me, it's going to be for me. Let's jump into this TV channel. And it's been live for about 2 months or so. Our first ever prime time was with Josh Stowers.
Yeah, man.
25,000 people. Watched that because our friends at 400 and other places that we know they retweeted the link and everything. So I guess it's a thing now. Can't turn back now. So here we are.
Man, you've really taken that concept, and I remember that sermon vividly, where I talked about moving from average to awesome. And as a pastor, and now more so coaching of pastors and leaders, to know that you said something that made someone push the pause button, reflect on it, and then build a business around it. Man, you have no idea of how proud it makes me to know that that's happening. So you went from podcasting to the Roku channel, and it's blown up. People are knocking on the door to get on. What's next? What's next for the mistaken identity?
Again, something that I did not think was a thing, but a clothing line coming out in January.
What?
Team Identity, yes. We have been fortunate enough to sell a lot of merchandise for other people. Obvious shirts. We sold over 1,020 shirts for them. Our sponsors like Liz and Fanatics, we're making those people a whole lot of money.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, so we thought to ourselves, well, why don't we also sell some merchandise around identity? People like to see their name on things. So hoodies, your name on it, and jerseys with your name on it. Whatever your identity is, wear that on your chest is what our clothing line is about. It all ties into identity, mistaken identity. So yeah, I guess I'm doing a clothing line. I got some pieces the other day. And that's coming up pretty soon. So
awesome.
We go again.
I can't wait to see it. I don't want to assume, but I'm guessing you're gonna show it on your podcast. So we'll have links in the show notes to point you to that. All of the links where you can connect with Frank and see his line. Follow, subscribe, all of the above. It'll be in the show notes, and it gives me great pleasure to let you all meet a young African-American man who's doing great things, who has a great heart, on top of being in tune with life and in tune with his community and in tune with his city. And with that stated, I want to shift directions for one moment. You got a chance to learn a little bit about Frank, who he is. You learned about what he's doing. And I want to just shift gears for one moment. And what I want to do is take the opportunity to dig into Frank a little bit, And by digging into my brother, why are you passionate about what you do? What drives you?
Well, that's a good question. What drives me? So I have made up in my mind, again, and I'm sorry, it's another sermon that I heard you talk about, but it was about complaining. You did a sermon about complaining.
Yeah.
And I just made up in my mind that I was going to do less complaining and more compelling or doing. And instead of just seeing a problem and complaining about the problem, I sort of figure out what can I do to make the problem better. And I've determined that when I was complaining about stuff, it was an excuse really not to do anything about it. And then when my mind shift changed to, okay, what is going to compel me to move or act, I became invested in the issue or the problem or the object. And then it didn't become a job. It sort of became something that I want to do. So I think I find value in trying to figure out solutions to things as opposed to watching everybody else complain about things, trying not to be like everybody else, sort of being that different voice. I think that's what drives me.
Yeah, I agree. You said something I took notes on, and that is you're solution-oriented. And people who are solution-oriented and add value to the lives of people will always find themselves in the middle of conversations or being a connector of people, a maven. And now that I know that, and you're driven by solutions, what's the most surprising thing or fact that you've learned about yourself?
Oh, this is good, actually, because I was having a discussion with somebody else about, I grew up on reality shows and wrestling, which is all about drama. Drama is the best part of it. I mean, reality shows like Fear Factor or something like that. But it was the drama, because they're all heavily edited, that I was into. Wrestling is about drama.
Yeah.
And I was craving drama so much that I started to create drama in my life. Again, people on public talk about their wins, but not their losses. I'm not talking about my losses right now, because a lot of times drama can create some losses for you. And because I was so hooked on just drama from what I was watching on TV, and that was ingrained in me, I was creating drama everywhere. Drama at the Cubs. I was creating drama at church. I was creating drama in the family. I was just creating drama. And it was not until I started to lose stuff, even though I had been invited to the White House, I get Christmas cards from Obama and that kind of thing. It was the drama that was causing me to lose a lot of what I had before. And one thing that you helped me out with as well. And it wasn't until I was corrected and checked that I realized if I continue on this path of letting outside forces and TV and whatever allow me to create drama, I'm going to lose everything that I have worked for. And getting that drama out of my life has been part of the best thing that has ever happened to me, because I'm back on track. I'm now moving forward as opposed to moving sideways. My word is my bond. I'm teaching people how to treat me by what I allow. I don't allow the drama, so they don't bring it to me anymore.
Yeah, man.
Even with family, if I have to teach you what it takes for me to answer the phone, I will. If your text is about drama or bad or negative, you won't get a response. If you want to respond, you got to text me this way. And people are learning. I'm teaching them how to treat me and what I expect. So I think that is probably the best answer for me. I learned the hard way what drama and mess can do when you're ingrained in it, and that's a part of your lifestyle, and how you can get that out of you pretty fast.
Wow, that is a pretty incredible, mature statement that you made, that it's quite refreshing to hear it from a millennial. You're a millennial, right?
I'm 43.
Okay, so you're older millennial.
I love what it says.
That's a very mature statement, because what you said required reflection, and you reflected inwardly. You looked at something that was inward and realized that it was detrimental to your growth and development, and you corrected that. And that's unheard of, especially in men, and especially in young men. You mentioned how the cause of loss made you do that, and we do know that people won't change until the level of pain exceeds their need to change. And you mentioned by losing things that it hurts. But I think the most important aspect in all of this was your ability to take correction from someone who wanted more for you in life, saw more from you in life. And with that, look at you now. I mean, had you not done that, you mentioned it yourself, you would not be where you are today. So that's really important. That's really important. And I thank God.
I also want to add, I am healthier now. When you get drama out of your life and you are, I'm healthier. I was on different types of pills and things just for like blood pressure or whatever. And drama is stressful.
Yes.
You have to keep it up because you started it. I'm just healthier. I feel better. I could do more, eat better. So if you have drama in your life, get that out of there.
Listen, people, listen. You're absolutely right. This gives me a good opportunity to pivot the conversation now that you've mentioned what you've learned. When it comes to work, to your work specifically, how much is it due to hard work and how much to the environment you're in?
Again, I'm up north in the Cubs. There's no secret that it's not many African Americans on the north side where I'm at.
A lot of money up there, though.
First time I was ever called the N-word was at Wrigley Field. I was 16. First time I've ever experienced that, was at Wrigley Field. So I say that to say, for me, hard work in the beginning, putting the seed down, working hard in spite of the obstacles, paved the way for today. Again, and I hate to say this, but another sermon talked about is you don't know a lot of times when you're planting a seed for something how 20, 30 years old that seed is going to come and just show up out of nowhere. And the work that I've done with the Cubs, I won all kinds of awards, Employee of the Year, Rookie of the Year, has led to me now working for the Bears. When the Bears needed help, they called, and I'm there now. So I definitely believe that hard work is important because many people won't put in the work. It's the people that put in the work and that stick to something that are generally going to see the fruits of their labor. So I think the hard work in the beginning allowed me to be where I'm at today, where I'm not working as hard, I'm just working smarter.
Well spoken, Frank. You mentioned that having that work ethic embedded, soldered into your life positions you to excel and utilize that to work smarter. And you mentioned about getting drama out of your life and how it's made you wiser, healthier. Where do you see room for improvement in your life?
Understanding that I can't help everybody. And it's easier said than done. I'm still, working on myself in that. I want to give everybody a job, even though they no-show, or they're not ready for a job.
Yeah.
I want everybody to invest, so they be financially set, even though they're really set on buying what they want to buy right now. And then I'm the one that feels bad and and hurt because they're not doing the right thing when it shouldn't affect me like that. So I think learning to be okay with the fact that I can't help everybody is where I need to improve.
So true, Frank. I've learned, and this would be my 24th year pastoring. And now that I'm more so transitioning into coaching, leadership development, watching other leaders play the game, and then observing and making slight necessary adjustments to see them win at the game, I've learned you can't birth passion. You can't want something for someone who doesn't want it themselves. And when I look at you sat up under the same teaching, but the difference is you wanted it. And because you wanted it, you embraced it and you did something about it. And that's a hard lesson because we have that third eye, and you have it, that ability to see ability in other people. But you're right. If they don't want it, then I've learned to step back and to wait. Never give up, but I'll wait. But until I see that they want it, then there's not too much that we can do. What a phenomenal episode. And my hope is that you heard something inspiring, something creative, something that help you push the pause button and reflect.
Are you enjoying the Clarence Stowers Leadership Podcast? If so, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button. As a matter of fact, make sure you let everyone know. And while you're at it, go ahead and leave a review. It helps the podcast grow. Thank you.
You've been listening to the Clarence Stowers Leadership Podcast. Join us next time for more insights on becoming 1% better each day and leveling up in all areas of life.